Hundreds of thousands of immigrants are continuing to pour into America from three countries in particular, and those countries are El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. Now, let me ask you a question. Where do you think those people who live in those countries would prefer to live? Their country or our country? The answer is simple. Their country. They'd prefer to be there if they could. Now, why do you think that they can't live in their own country? Because their countries are consistently among the top 10, look it up, most dangerous in the world. This ain't brain surgery, folks. Honduras and El Salvador consistently vying for #1 and #2 spot in the world when it comes to homicides per 100,000 residents. Guatemala, not too far behind. The only country that competes with them consistently in the last decade is Iraq. Now, what do you think these three countries, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, all have in common? If you guess that the U.S. intervened in its elections with a CIA-backed coup or military incursion, ding, ding, you would be right. The most recent example, the CIA-led coup of Honduras in 2009 that ousted the democratically elected president there and has since turned Honduras into a disaster for its people, which is why they're now coming here, because of what we did there. Here now, part 3 of my exclusive interview with the president who was elected, was bolstering his own economy, but was then removed. Here's Manuel Zelaya. Usted ha escuchado los comentarios del presidente Trump.
Have you heard President Trump's comments about the immigrants that are leaving Honduras and arriving in the United States? He said some pretty nasty things about them.
Trump no es nada sorprendente. Lo que él dijo en su campaña.
Trump isn't anything surprising. He's doing what he promised to do in his campaign. The ones that voted for him are the ones that need to respond to him, and vice versa. He's a white supremacist. A supremacist. Someone who imposes his supremacy by way of his opinions, his rules, and his politics. He's against migration, even though his parents or grandparents were migrants. But he's against migration. He wants to build a wall in between Latin America and the United States. So he wants to return to the Iron Curtain. I think that he should rectify and understand that the United States needs to learn to respect the coexistence of nations in order to continue to live peacefully in the Americas.
Pacíficamente en América.
Usted duda que si no lo sacan.
Do you think that if you weren't removed from the presidency and if things hadn't worked out in this way,
Honduras, que este número de
that this many immigrants would be fleeing the country?
Hubiera ocurrido?
No fuera en las mismas proporciones, porque la migración es un derecho.
It wouldn't be in the same proportions because migration is a human right. Migration doesn't happen on a whim. It's the people's rights. Where were you born? You were born in a country, in a territory, in a family. You didn't even choose your name. Your parents chose it for you. So who are you? You don't know who you are. You don't know why you were born there, why you were born in this era, why you were born in this territory. So, human beings, using their conscience, have a right to go where they want. Logically, you need to go through a process. Not that you should go anywhere illegally. Go through the process. But migration is a human right. And it's not a crime to migrate. So there's always been migration. But when migration is from the south to the north, then it's a crime. When it's investors from North America or Europe, then it's development. It's progress. Understand? Those are the dichotomies of the world that we don't accept.
But the people leaving Honduras seem to be fleeing. It's not a normal migration process. These people seem to be running away, escaping. They're getting out of there as soon as they can. And that's what I'd like to understand.
No es normal. No es normal porque...
No. It's not normal. It's not normal because, look, it's not normal because it's a dictatorship supported by the United States, supported by bayonets, which has buried the country in debt, that has impoverished the people. and which today has the people fleeing the country in terror. Migration has increased under this dictatorship. Migration will always exist, and it always has existed. It existed in my government, but not to these alarming numbers that you have today with these enormous caravans. If you were to open the borders up, people would be fleeing this hell in terror. Understand?
Manuel Zelaya, the former ousted president of Honduras, he doesn't talk like most politicians. Seems to just say what's on his mind. We thank him for gracing us with that interview, and we certainly learned a lot. So you haven't heard that we're the ones covering the stories that you won't see covered anywhere else? In Venezuela, Kazakhstan, let's go to Hong Kong. And the media reaction to that has been crickets. How about the way we cover those stories? What the hell does that mean? Wale, wale, wale. That's the key word in this case, uprising. Keep? Can you believe that? Watching. This is the right thing for members of the media to do, to actually pick sides. Look, if you like what you see, subscribe.